Hello all, thank you guys for joining us today. I know this is the first time we're doing a virtual Neptune Impact Festival, but we are here today to discuss one of our recent success stories that we had last year with our client Rust-Oleum. So Rust-Oleum acquired a new DC in the UK, and they wanted to implement SAP WM along with some mobile applications to get off ITS Mobile and onto some newer, slicker Fiori apps. And so we have some of our colleagues from Rust-Oleum here today, Amol and Harish, and we're going to discuss the successes that we had, as well as some of the takeaways of the project. And then, of course, this is a recorded session, but we are going to be live afterwards. So if you guys have any questions, we will happily answer those for you at the end of the presentation. So that being said, I'll hand it over to Amol and Harish to introduce themselves, and we'll get started with the presentation.
Thank you, Mauricio. Hello all, this is Amol Dubal. I'm a SAP development lead at Rust-Oleum, looking at our ECC and BW side of the house. Harish.
Hi, this is Harish Jadhav. I work with Rust-Oleum at the business applications team. I take care of the SAP inventory management and warehouse management at Rust-Oleum.
So this is the agenda, guys. Like I said, we'll start with a little background about Rust-Oleum. We'll get into some of the challenges they face and why they chose Neptune, and then what they were able to glean from using Neptune for these mobile applications.
Rust-Oleum is basically a paint manufacturing company based out of Vernon Hills, Illinois, which is a northwest suburb in Chicago. We are majorly into the spray paints, coatings, and now cleaners platform as well. Total 13 manufacturing units, including the distribution centers, 4,000 employees. We are part of RPM Group. RPM is based out of Ohio. Mauricio, if you can. So this is our global footprint. North America is our major business, which covers the US and Canada. We have 3 major distribution centers, one in Midwest, one is East Coast, and one West Coast. Latin America, we are multiple locations, traditionally being served. These are more of like sales offices, no manufacturing. The major manufacturing is in US only. South Africa, another little bit domestic production, but again, majorly distributing the products manufactured in USA. Australia, New Zealand, similar story. Most of the manufacturing is happening in US. Which are being sold across the globe. Europe is a little bit bigger entity. It's got the domestic production and 3 main locations, UK, Belgium, and Netherlands. And in fact, this project is one of the new DCs that we build in UK. These are the various different brands that we have. As you can see, small project, wood care is another major line. We are into the performance coatings, rock solid, epoxy, your garage, basement coatings, floor coatings, exterior wood care. Cleaners are another big platform, cut cutters, mold X wings, and in fact, this is one of the fastest growing segment, especially with the COVID situations. We got about 6 EP approved products for COVID related cleanings. So we have a saying that whichever there is surface, there is a Rust-Oleum product for it. So you can see, fence, automotive, cabinet transformation, your kitchen cabinets, any kind of cabinets, floors, kitchen cleanings, all sorts of products. So let's talk about why Neptune. Within SAP, we being in SAP shop where the Neptune came into the place. So this goes back to close to 5 years when we wanted to start our Fiori journey. SAP was transitioning to Fiori rapidly and coming with new giving the options to its customers to use the Fiori applications even if you're not on S4 or not on the advanced packages of SAP. So EHP 7 upgrade has opened up from there. SAP has opened up Fiori usage for the customers. So there were a few apps that SAP had given out of the box, which we lighted up and tried to see, how to use those, what sort of business case we can present to use the Fiori. But one of the things that we ran into is those are very limited applications. The design was not flexible, and we could see when we would go to the business would want to have more stuff added to it. They were not that much flexible, and of course any UI changes means you need to go have UI5 experience. You would at the time SAP was, if I may say, it was all over the place in terms of UI development. You had River IDE, then they called it Web IDE. There was cloud version, non-cloud version, on-prem, all sorts of mixed up. And every now and then, you would see UI components and backend components for those Fiori apps getting updated with the new release notes. So it was a lot to take it in one place, and if you have to modify anything, you have to be a very good UI developer, which obviously we being traditional ABAP team, we were lacking that, and our pain point, or we were trying to see how we move to that model where we can have UI5 skill in-house. This is when we come across actually Neptune, one of their marketing emails, and we did download the trial version. We tried hands-on, and we kind of liked it because it was marketed and geared towards the BAPers, easy to understand. Of course, there's a little bit of learning. We were comfortable with JavaScripting because we were using screen personas, and that still, requires a little bit JavaScripting if you really want to take advantage of screen personas. So that way, we had the JavaScripting in place. So this was just a little incremental addition in term to scale up to the next level, and we could, see full-fledged apps being developed in-house without going outside the SAP team. Typically, and most of the organizations have this in the past, that for any UI side of the development where you want to have nice, rich look and feel with your company's theme and branding and everything in place, you would go to your .NET or Java team, and all you do is web services getting data from SAP. So we could see, we could quickly transition over the Neptune and even take the UI piece of it, and it would be a very nice stepping stone to get to the full-fledged UI5. So the part of that, when we bought Neptune, we partnered with Mygo Consulting, and we actually did purchase, requisition, and PO creation workflow applications, which was very nice received by business. We replaced the old WebDynpro based applications with that, and we had a nice base of Neptune in-house. Now, when we talk about the project, and I think Harish, you can take it, how the Neptune came into place, will come there.
Sure. Thanks, Amol. So the new warehouse management project, it's an automated, WMS RF integration project that we did using Neptune. Our UK distribution center in Newcastle, we were running on SAP already, but they were running a very manual receiving and picking process. We had 4 business units like our industrial business, commercial business, and some more. All were operating under different roofs and were shipping, from their respective different locations. So our UK business came with an idea of consolidating all businesses under one roof and making it one fully automated warehouse, which would give them an opportunity to save shipping costs and also to reduce the resources needed for operations. So automation was the need of the hour to resolve the problems that we had on hand and to gain efficiencies and reduce overall warehouse operating costs. So we were looking at the 21st century solution that can sustain in the market and also help us with the for the upcoming 10 plus years to survive. So concerns and challenges that we were looking forward to resolve was our warehouses was big, the new one that we were building with 100 plus aisles, and each aisle is like 7 racks, almost touching the roof. We were buying lift trucks that are fast speed, and they were moving fast through the aisles. So with reference to the scanning performances, we needed devices that can scan locations and location barcodes and pallet IDs, say from 2 to 4 meters range, and also a software that could match the device performance and validate the data quite quickly. So we also had certain additional requirements, like basically we needed unit picking hand wearable wrist devices, needing an ability to be able for the users to read it on tiny screens. With reference to communication challenges, our users were moving away from paper and papers. Typically, they were all operating on manual communications and papers, and then they were moving. We were actually planning to move them into a queue-based approach. We were looking at reducing wastage of papers. Our DCs were generating paper pick slips for every order, a lot of manual communication between pickers and shipping office admins. All of these needed to be automated. Users also needed a way for getting notifications of certain special instruction tasks on the screen as they were picking to for ease of communication and also to do error-free picking. So these are some of the challenges. And with reference to our rapid development and scalability perspective, our business was seeing a lot of growth opportunity to improvise, and we were challenged to make all of these changes in quick time. And that's where we were looking at building a global template. We already had SAP console-based RF solution, which is what we are already using, but we were looking at building a standard RF template solution that we can roll out across other regions globally. And having done this project, I can say confidently say that we were able to come across all these challenges using the Neptune RF solution.
So in terms of, so technical, if we look at the technical aspects of the project, what business was demanding is a paperless operations, which means somehow we need to let the user know what their next task is, and that has to be on the device. Secondly, scanning has to be fast. We had some high-speed trucks being purchased, which gonna assist faster picking. So we don't want it to see a scan. You scan one thing and we're going back to SAP, getting data coming back, and you're waiting. We wanted those to keep moving faster, which means a little bit kind of offline capability. Get the data to the device side and move through it, and through the whole pick, and only limit the communication back and forth with SAP as far as possible, so you could automate faster. So some of these challenges and what existing solutions out there with SAP, like SAP Console and ITS Mobile, Uh, we definitely thought that we need something new. These two things really not gonna help us. Then we saw we have Neptune. Can we use it? We were not very sure about how does the Neptune performance works with the scanning with these kind of devices, and that's when we again reached out to Mygo for their guidance with the Neptune and WM. Mauricio.
Sure, thanks, Amal. Yeah, I guess just to add our 2 cents in here, like we said, these guys had a defined scope and an aggressive timeline that they wanted to get these applications as well as the global template so they could roll out for future projects, right? So what we bring to the table is our expertise both with Neptune and in supply chain. So our 10,000 plus man hours of implementing, customizing, enhancing, and mobilizing WM and EWM helped definitely leverage our skills and our talent and our expertise to help these guys deliver their solutions quickly. And I can remember when we were pitching the solution in the office, in the Zebra office, the number one thing that they said was that, guys, our current ITS mobile solution works right now. It's not beautiful, it's not great, it's not sexy, but it works every time. And if I get a single call from the UK saying that my scanner doesn't work or my screen's locking or something or other, we're going to be really upset. And so I'm glad to say that now, a year or two out from going live with this project, we still haven't had any of those issues. So definitely a very successful project all the way around.
Yep, rightly said, Mauricio. Our major, concern was with the scanning performance. We did not want, users complaining and slowing down, especially with the business putting so much money into, modern warehouse. And what made us comfortable, Mygo actually brought on us with the page with Zebra. We visited Zebra office. We looked at their solutions. Mygo has a research partnership with Zebra that they test out all the Neptune new releases and everything with the Zebra, all kinds of devices. And obviously, Mygo had previous projects done similar projects done. I think it was Johnson and Johnson. I guess you guys are hearing about Johnson Johnson story as well. So that made us, pretty comfortable, and this is the right solution that we are moving forward with. Here, you can see a little bit comparison what Neptune brings to the table versus two traditional technologies from SAP, the SAP Console or the ITS Mobile. There is no brainer right now. Neptune is far more in terms of display and capabilities. A little bit comparison, but I will leave it to you. But it's as you go forward in the next age, there is Fiori is the next world, and how do you achieve Fiori right now, at least in the short term, and especially for the scanning platform or RF platform, there is nothing out there in the market than Neptune. This is scanner performance. Even SAP does not yet recommend Fiori as the solution for RF scanning. Even in their latest release of EWM, the RF solution is still ITS mobile based. So there is ideally, after going all through options and through the project experience, there is no brainer. You have to go the Neptune route. So having said that, technically how long, does it take? How good, bad, how resource intensive? Because if you're going for Neptune, which means you're gonna go a custom solution. Say for example, you got EWM, SAP has a pre-built ITS mobile solution and everything. If you're gonna put that on Neptune, which means you gotta develop everything from the scratch, how does that add up to your project? Well, what I can say from our experience with the Android platform that we chose for the Zebra devices, we build about 40 plus applications covering all the areas, all the aspects of warehouse processes. We took about 4 months of development, with one on site and 3 offshore. I mean, that development testing and everything, which is really, really rapid development. And within those development, we actually overcome few of the hiccups, or we gave some innovative solution inside it. So for example, is the keyboardless solution. One of the things that we ran into is on the screen, the Zebra keyboards, as and when you put a cursor in the field, they would pop up, and our intention was, this is a scanning solution. Why do we really need the keyboard? Except the quantity, we would never need a keyboard. And the devices that we chose, and 60%, or actually 75 to 80%, those devices have a physical keyboard. So we don't really need the the on-screen keyboard. So we in fact customize those to suppress the keyboard completely, only on one device, one type of device, which was a wearable device. We needed a keyboard to put in the quantity, and the device keyboard that was coming up, it was covering the entire screen, because it was such a small screen on that wearable device. And that was kind of turn off, because if you do wrong entry, this thing, you go back and forth, and a little bit clumsy to use. And we was able to kind of put a calculator kind of custom keyboard very quickly. We were able to leverage that solution across both kind of devices. So we really don't had to customize anything for any particular device as such. We could use those on that same solution, even if you want to use that keyboard on other devices. Similarly, we put in auto refresh on the monitors, because this was a paperless solution, which means users needed to know what's my next task is. So every 30 minutes, the tiles would refresh to bring in the count, suggesting the next task that is there. We customized login so that people can just scan it and go it in, because we leveraged SAP's mobility a little bit innovatively. Queue management, Harish talked about, and that set up how we can use the queue management for task assignment. We use SAP's menu management for RF menu management, that we linked to the Neptune's role-based access, so that you can assign the people the functions, and only tiles related to that functions would be visible to them. We used the Mobi control, the SOTI Mobi control from Zebra, to manage all the devices centrally. So we could, sitting in US, we could monitor all the devices that are running in UK. Anytime we could choose a device, we can go into the device and see live what the user is doing. So all in all, very pretty solution in terms of collaboration with Zebra, Mygo team, and we had another help from the hardware side, who put in the Mobi control solution, Miles Data. So very, very nice system. Here's a snapshot of the launch pad. Obviously, this is from the desktop, but on the screen, on the guns, you would see 4 or 5 tiles at any point. But based on your access, you would only see those tiles, and the numbers would indicate which area your tasks are pending, and you should complete those tasks and move on to the next areas. So these are the two kind of devices we selected. The proper one is the WT6000, which is a wearable device which actually goes on your arm and is connected either with a Bluetooth ring scanner or a USB connected ring scanner, which goes on your finger scanner, and the MC3300, which is industry leader right now. If you go anywhere, zebras, you would see this is the device. Very handy, very slick, very easy to use, easy on the wrist as well, not very bulky or anything. And as you can see, the solution works on both devices equally well. You don't have to write two different programs or two different versions of the screens, nothing of that sort. Both you could tailor application perfectly that it works perfectly on both devices without underlying code being different or anything. So what are the benefits realized? What we can see is the biggest was stable warehouse on day one, which was a big win first out of the get-go, because the business was concerned in their past experience when they worked with their customers, and when the customers has gone on the WM, they had experienced that one of their biggest customer, when they went on the WM, they had to shut any kind of receiving from any of the vendors for 2 weeks. So this was a big concern for them, saying we don't want to have that to happen to us, that we are not able to ship out of the warehouse. And glad to say none of that things. We were get-go first order, and to the in last order on that day, everything went out, and actually everything went out in a record time. Obviously putting in scanning solution is much faster than any manual paper-based assignment and people picking stuff. Another highest was the system driven and not the people dependent warehouse. So previously everybody it was dependent on people, that this product, it needs to go through this particular process, it needs to have this kind of particular packing and things like that. All that has been taken out from people's heads and is programmed into the system. If you need anything, any kind of special packaging, the text button appears in the red color, different colors. You go through it, read the text instructions on the gun. It's like using any mobile. So pretty user friendly. Decoupled architecture, as I talked, it can the latest Zebra devices itself can withstand any kind of power hiccups, or your battery is going dead. Usually these new devices come up with 10 or 15 minutes of extra small battery backup, that within which you can swap the main battery out. But the biggest the benefit what we saw is the user satisfaction and the user training. So we had one session of user training, which was actually classroom training and a little bit device training, but not a lot. But what we saw on the day one, folks coming in and saying, oh, I don't really need any training for this. This is like using my Apple phone, iPhone, or my Samsung. The device tells me I have job here, and the application tells me that what I need to scan. This was a huge benefit, especially in SAP world, where with complex SAP screens, sometimes it is hard to get lost in terms of data entry. And especially for temp staff, it's an overhead every time, especially in warehouse scenarios where you do have temp staff rolling in quite often. You would see people turnover in the warehouses a lot. So with the reduced or almost no training, this was a huge benefit. And we actually saw this during even COVID times, that since the sales were very high, especially for the COVID products and e-commerce being the major focus instead of our regular retail-based business, we had to bring in extra temp staff. Almost we had to double the temp staff, and literally we could give them an half an hour demo or an hour demo. Even sometimes that was not needed. You just give them device and they were good to go. So uh, that was very very huge benefit for running a warehouse where you don't have to train the users to every new piece of thing in SAP, because you're just masking everything for them. Some of the takeaways and learning what we saw, we faced some issues with the locking because of the decoupled architecture, and we wanted to rely on the locking. Locking was a key feature for us because of the auto task assignment, and we had two layers of solution for it. There was issue with the locking, but Neptune was pretty prompt to, on the day of the go live, the Neptune support quickly connected with us and was able to help us out, and they figured out what is the problem, and the problem was addressed in their next releases. Field focus time, this is probably from ABAP perspective more, because typically in SAP ABAP, you are an online connection. So if you put a cursor anywhere, your cursor stays there, for however amount of time you don't have it. Now this is a little different where, the cursor positioning and the cursor times are controlled, which we need to account, and this is a little bit device dependent as well. So you got to find that sweet spot of time with the devices. What is the optimal time that you can keep it? Otherwise, if the cursor is lost, the user is just scanning somewhere in the blank screen and nothing happens on the screen. Optimizing custom numeric pad for screens, but again, no big deal really. We just tried out few options, horizontal, vertical, so that it is without any change. It is there for both kinds of devices, or any kind of devices. Again, with the solution, it's a technical solution. You could have all this as a reusable things and use. And as I said, we had 40 plus applications, but if you really look at on screens, there are almost 60 to 70 apps, and that is because the applications are usable in a different context everywhere. So the tiles you would see more, but the technical objects are very less. And Neptune is keeping pace with the whatever we ask, so we desired some more information in log jobs, auto logout for mobile clients, tile management, and Neptune is listening to customers and keeping pace and giving them more and more feature, which is very nice to see. And finally, to verify, the objective that we started with the Neptune, have we achieved that? Rapid UI development, absolutely. We were able to deliver a huge project, and it's now becoming a de facto for all our new warehouse implementations. Leverage in-house team. Right now, all the applications are supported in-house. All the wrappers now equipped with JavaScripting, equipped with Neptune. Pretty comfortable with all. We could churn out the solutions ourselves very nicely. It's a stable platform. We haven't, almost in last 2 years, we have not have any touch wood, any weird scenarios that we are not able to fix, or something totally different happening on the gun that is not been able to address or anything like that. Faster scanning, this kind of decoupled architecture, get the data to the device and get through the scanning faster and then go back to SAP once. The same solution is going to work for S4 as well. Role-based access and all the API or data connections available. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we overall we're pretty much very, very happy with the Neptune.
All right, so definitely thank you very much, Amol, and thank you, Harish. It was an excellent presentation. And I guess now we'll open it up. If anybody has any questions, we'll be happy to take those. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.